So hello guys, today I will play a chess game. Name is English. So the first move of that game and it's the last move too is c4. So that's all. So let's move to a random move. So right now I will move my knight to c3. And so I will move my knight to f3 and block them. So at now I move my pawn to, no, I think that's a wrong move. So I want to move my bishop to d3, and now they want to get my my knight. So I move my knight to a4, and then I will move my pawn to a3. Then I capture the bishop, and now they want to capture my knight again. So I will move my bishop back to e2. Oh, they want to capture my point, and I capture the point. And now I captured the point at e5. And they capture my bishop, so I captured the bishop back. And I capture the knight at c6. So they capture my knight, and I capture back the point. So they move the rook, and I capture the rook by my knight. And now I call my rook to a7, and I move my rook to a8. Now it's check. So they move the king, and I move my point to d3, and now I move my bishop to f4, and I capture the rook. So they capture my rook. Yeah, that's right. And now I go my queen to e3, and then I go my queen to d4, and now I go my queen to e5. So I go my queen, no, I will move my king to e2 to no. I got a castle, and now they want to capture my queen, so I don't let they want the thing. So I move my queen to d4, and I move to c3. And now I capture the point at c7. I capture the pawn. I move to d4. So now I call my bishop to c5. So they capture my point, and I capture back the queen to the page. And I move my queen to d4. Nice check. And I move my no, I think that's wrong. So I will move my rook to a1. Then I move my rook to a7. And I move my bishop to block. To get the knight at e7. So I move my queen to f6. So they capture my queen, and I capture the point. And they capture my bishop back, and now is a check again. And I move my rook to a5. Now it's check. And I move my rook to f5. I move my point to b5. I move my point to b6. I move my point to b7. And now I move my rook to f7. And I move my rook to no, I think that's wrong. So I move my point to e5, e6, e7. The capture, and at now I get a queen. So I move my rook to no. I move my queen to e5. I move my point to b5. And I get the point, last point. And at now I move my rook to d7. And now it's a check at e6. And I move back my queen to e5 and check again. Then I move my queen to e2, move my rook to a7, so they capture, and I move my pawn to d4, and I move my queen to d3, nice check, and move to d2, move to d3, move to c4, move to c3, and I'm win. So thank you for watching my gameplay. See you next time.